Hey guys, Happy New Year! We've made it to 2025. It feels so weird to say that considering the fact I'm still probably stuck in June 2024, but that is fine. If you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Haley. I'm a cashless budgeter, a recent graduate, and a caregiver for my mother, who is trying to work on her relationship with finances as well as work towards financial freedom. If that's something you're interested in, please will like, comment, subscribe down below, and let's get into the video. Hey guys, I am really excited about this video. Not only because it's 2025 and, it's a new season for growth, development, and success. I am just beyond words and full of blessings right now. So to basically sum it all up, there were some changes between the middle of December up to now, that does affect my budget layout, where I am and am not doing in 2025. So I decided to kind of make a, condensed video real quick to review my budget for 2025 or January 2025 going on forward, and how my layout might look slightly different from here on out, as well as new additions to my budget and binders, which I will go through binders in a minute. So, as you can see, the majority of this, let me double check you can see it first. That'd be great. Okay, you can. So, as you can see, the majority of the outline looks the exact same as it did in 2024. But some market changes is I've decided to rework my student loan payments back into my budget. If you guys don't know, I will link my student loan update or my last student loan update in the description box below. But long story short, it was put on forbearance. My date is set to end the 31st of this month, end of January. Whether or not they're going to continue to push that date back, I don't know, but I want to be prepared. So I am working my student loan payments back into my budget. And for the month of January, since my loans are still in forbearance, technically, I've decided to hold my student loan payments in a separate account, so that come 31st of January, if they say payments are restarting, I can go ahead and make an immediate payment, and not have too much interest accrued during that time. And that count as my qualifying payments, and then basically continue my payments going forward. I am still doing debt avalanche, so focusing on adding as much to my Direct Plus loan, which is my largest loan and has the highest interest rate comparatively, first, and then just making slightly above the standard payments for my Stafford 1 loan. And again, you guys will see that in my first Budget With Me video when I actually receive my check in January. So speaking of checks, major life update. I now have a part-time job / side hustle. I don't know what I should refer to it as. I guess it's kind of a side hustle because it's more of a as needed basis, but it's still reaching certain part-time hours and minimum part-time hours. And I believe with the company I'm with, the minimum is at least 18 during a pay period. 18 or 20. One of the two. You guys, I honestly way too excited to think about certain points of logistics right now. But long story short, I did get hired for this job in the middle of December. I know, I didn't tell you guys. I'm sorry. Mostly because I was on an onboarding orientation situation, and they could have chosen not to basically bump up what I was working for from a temporary seasonal type position to a part-time position. But come the end of December, beginning of this month, I was officially hired on as a part-time employee. And so I will be getting bi-weekly payments from my part-time job as well. Those will be separate or budgeted separately from this budget you see here. This budget is from my full-time job, mostly because I know what to expect at this point. I have set hours and I budget for the minimum, not including any overtime or any pay increases. So this $950, I know for sure that is going to be there, bare minimum, regardless. With this part-time job and the hours fluctuating from pay period to pay period, this is going to be a very interesting experience. I have had very irregular income before, but I haven't had irregular income that I have budgeted before, if that makes sense. I've done sporadic work here and there for certain reasons, but never in a part-time fluctuating position. So that is going to be a new addition slash added part to a roller coaster that is my finances right now. But I am really excited to see what that looks like. So what I'm probably going to do is have a separate side hustle section of my budget that I'll probably update bi-weekly and show you guys where I put any allocated money. Also, just putting it out there as you guys know, I do have a Ko-Fi shop to answer any questions I've received about it thus far. Yes, my Ko-Fi shop is mostly for freebies. It does have some cost listings on there, but again, you're not required to get them. There may be times throughout the year where I'm just redoing inventory, so things that were cost listings might become freebies and things of that nature. Which is highly possible. There is the option on Ko-Fi to buy me a coffee, which is the equivalent of sending a donation. I don't know how to adjust the minimum on there, or I just figured out how to do so because I think the buy me a coffee was like $5. I decreased the minimum to $1. I don't know if I can go below that. I was trying to see if I could just make it you put in whatever number you want to, but I couldn't figure out how to do that. If anybody else knows, feel free to let me know down in the comment section. But the minimum on there is $1. No, you do not have to donate, obviously. Anything you give is very much appreciated, but no, it's not required. I just want people to have as much access to the saving challenges and trackers I create as possible. So Ko-Fi seemed like the best option. Am I opening an Etsy shop? I do not know. As of right now, the answer is no. I maybe would like to one day. But for right now, Ko-Fi works for what I need it for. And I don't see a need to open an Etsy shop in addition to that right now. Considering there are other things I'm trying to balance at the same time. So one step at a time. I might grow into Etsy one day. I don't want to say never, because you never know how life is going to work out. But yeah, for right now, Ko-Fi works for what it works for, and that's where any challenges I make, any trackers I make, whether they be freebies or cost listings, will all be on there. My Ko-Fi shop is 100% digital downloads. I have not moved any physical products on there. I would like to get to that one day, but that'll be later on down the road. So I hope that answers any questions. If you have any other questions about Ko-Fi or my Ko-Fi shop in particular, leave them down in the comments and I'll be happy to answer. So, getting to all of that, January is a magic month for me at my full-time job, so I will be getting a third check. And how I've decided to budget these is I do put lines in my bills that are standard and are not going to change. But as far as my sinking funds are concerned, I decided to split them up between my revolving and long-term challenges, so that makes it easier for me to track my savings rate. So mandatory challenges or revolving challenges are my short-term sinking funds, which is my yellow binder, my car, the envelopes that are in my short-term binder, taxes, and as I mentioned in my last video, even though this is in my future home savings, it's no longer going to be for future home. The home envelopes that are in my purple binder will be for our current home situation. And the savings related to that. The future home envelope that will remain a future home, a long-term savings envelope, will be my 100 envelope challenge that is going towards home down payment or my future home down payment. Besides that, the rest of my home envelopes are for the current situation. I broke it down even further to where I have budget numbers and a long-term savings I can and cannot get to. They more than likely won't have a defined number with the exception of my emergency fund. If I get to them, great. If I don't, oh well. But I'll have the budget numbers here and then the check in which they came from, or from which the transaction came from. So this month, since I have 3 checks, I have 3 sections. Normally, it would just be these 2, and then I might put a total at the end, again, to make savings rate a little bit easier to calculate. So that is that update. And I don't know if you guys would consider this new necessarily, but future funds, I have decided to grow from an envelope to a binder. And you guys will see that binder, and I'll break down that binder and my first cash stuffing of that in my next video. But future funds, what I decided to do is I had a lot of envelopes that would technically be considered money I'd be saving for future things. I had a future business envelope. I had a future investments envelope that I was doing the Dream Year Challenge and the Cracked Rainbow Challenge for. My future home envelope will stay separate because it's already set in a particular account. But I also had one for like future travels, which again, stayed in a separate account. But savings for things like events, milestones, any type of health-related things, any type of general savings, me having the goal of eventually maxing out my Roth IRA, things of that nature. So what I decided was to take all of those envelopes, instead of, with the exception of travel and home, taking all of those envelopes and putting them into one place, which is now going to be my future funds. My future fund savings will be a part of my budget for my full-time check and my part-time check. Since I have more of a standard number to budget off of for my full-time check, I will probably try to keep maybe $15 to $20 going to my future funds on a monthly basis. It's not set in stone. If I have it to do slightly more, that's great. If not, that's perfectly fine. And I'll go into more detail breaking that down in my next video. So that's changed as far as sinking funds and savings are concerned. No changes in bills. Already updated on debts. Now with variable savings and spending, as you see here, I put null in my expenses and spending. Why? Because along with what I budget for from my check, the majority of my expenses and spending will be going to my variable savings and or rounding down to put in my long-term savings. So I didn't want to budget a number on here knowing that, for example, $7 a week would be going to my automatic savings. I could choose round down my account or round down a purchase anytime and put it into any of my long-term savings. So keeping up with all those transactions with you guys over the course of a month was very difficult. So I decided to stop tracking my expenses on here as far as what I'm planning to budget for spending. Now, with all that being said, I will keep this expense section for unplanned purchases, as the majority of the money that I budget for my spending, 9 times out of 10, it's because I have a purpose for it within that pay period, to spend it on a particular thing within that pay period. So I don't really feel a need to list those expenses as well because I already know that they were happening. I already know that they were coming. However, there are unexpected expenses that I do want to keep in mind and review every couple of months, because if it's one that's recurring, then that's something I probably need to make a sinking fund for, or put a section in my wallet for. So I am still learning my own spending habits, and in order to do that, or to track that more carefully, I decided just to keep my expenses section for unplanned expenses that came up that I did not budget for. So that's that update. And as far as my variable automatic savings withdrawal, as I told you guys before, every 3 to 6 months, I reevaluate where the $7 a week are going. So I'm still keeping the same split of $5 bi-weekly and $2 weekly. My future funds will, well, that was my dream challenge. I was getting $2. It's now future funds that will continue to get $2 weekly. I am moving my $5 bi-weekly from my car deductible to my car emergency fund. Why? Because within my full budget, I want to have more money going towards my car deductible and saving for my car insurance from my actual check. So my emergency fund, in my car emergency fund, also already gets the interest from my account. So instead of taking the money out of my check to put in there as well for right now, I want to focus on getting my deductible insurance done. So that $5 will be going towards my emergency fund. And I will continue the $5 bi-weekly going into my 100 envelope challenge for my down payment on my future home. As far as my Roth IRA is concerned, I want to bump it up to $25 monthly. My goal is to increase it by $5 every couple of months. And I ended with only bumping it up to $20. I'm not going to say only because it's not a small feat. I'm not saying that at all. I ended December with $20. I am starting January with $25, and once I get used to that $25 being gone, I like to work it up to $30. So for right now, this $25 is going to stay, and I will more than likely increase it if I get any type of merit increase from my job, full-time job. I have to specify that now. That's crazy. But if I get an increase from my full-time job, then I will more than likely bump this up to $30 throughout the year. So that is just a quick update of my life and what my budget will look like for 2025 starting now when you're seeing this video. I thank you guys for watching, and please stay tuned for my next video where I go through my future funds binder, how I set it up, and my budget breakdown for my now my additional irregular income. I thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a blessed night, day, evening, wherever you are in the world, and can't wait to catch you guys next time. Bye, guys.